Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Gusti Radeni. So in this video I want to read about everyday life in the Soviet Union, the shopping runaround. The author Hedwig Smith was head of the New York Times office in Moscow from 1970 to 1974. The following passage is adapted from Mr. Smith's book The Russians, which was published in the 1976 by Credential, the New York Times Book Company. 1. I had heard about consumer shortage before going to Moscow, but only when we began to shop there did the Russian consumers' problems really have meaning for me. Customers the world overweight lines, but Soviet lines have a special quality all day round. Typically, the Soviet woman spends 2 hours a day in line, 7 days a week. Personally, I have known of people who stood in line 90 minutes to buy 4 pineapples and 3.5 hours to buy 3 large heads of cabbage, only to find the cabbage were gone as they approached the front of the line. Lines can run from a few yards to nearly a mile. Some friends of ours watched a line of people in Moscow cycling up to buy rugs. The line lasted 2 days and nights and ran for across all town and apartment development. 2. In spite of all of this, the natural reaction of a Russian woman when she sees a line forming is to get it immediately, even before she knows what is being sold. However, Soviet lines are more vivid than they ever appear in most stores. For example, shops must stand in not one but 3 lines for any purchase. The first to set purchase and find out the price. The second to pay a cashier somewhere else in the store and get receipt. And the third to go pick up the purchase and turn into the receipt. 3. But in daily store, one morning I found out that the game is both simpler and more complex than then. I went in to buy some cheese, butter, and bologna sauce, which were in 3 separate departments, each with its own line, 9 lines. 4. Rather quickly, though, I noticed that experienced shoppers were skipping the first stage. They knew what most items cost, so they went directly to the cashier for their receipt. After studying prices, I did that too. Then I went to the cheese line. The lunch probably 20 people to get the worst over with first. I was in line less than a minute when the woman in front of me asked me to hold her place. She darted off the butter and milk line. The cheese line was moving so slowly that she got her butter and milk and returned before we had advanced 3 feet. I decided to take the risk too, and I got back with my butter while the cheese line was still inching along. 5. Then it suddenly occurred to me that all over the store, people were getting into line, holding place, leaning, returning. Everyone was using the cheese line as a home base. That was why it was barely moving. It kept expanding in the middle. So I got the man behind me to hold my place, and I went off to buy my bologna once again. It worked. It took me 22 minutes to buy butter, sausage, and cheese. But instead of being furious, I felt as if I had beaten the system. 6. This competitive shopping gives an atmosphere of tension to Russian life. People barge into stores and bump into each other with faces set in combative expressions. "You have to understand," said a kind, gray-haired person, "that for as long as we can remember, shopping has been a struggle. Life is a struggle." 7. There is hardly any effective advertising to help shoppers. Americans complain about the constant commercials in the United States, but they might reconsider if they were exposed to the consumer blackout in Russia. A typical Soviet end might be if you want to live through a ripe, olden age, beautiful, modest, throughout and truthful. Drink tea. Most newspapers publish without ads. The shopper has not handy yellow page or daily newspaper, supermarket or department store ads to help her decide where to shop. 8. Bribery is widespread. Low paid $80 to $20 monthly sales cracks take a portion of attractive items and sell them secretly to regular customers who have either left a bribe in advance or can be counted on to pay a high price on delivery. 10 to 15 rubles on a 60 ruble raincoat is standard. In 1976, the ruble was equivalent to $1.33. 9. So common in this practice that the Soviet press is always complaining about it, but it does not do any good. Crocodile. The Soviet humor magazine once showed a department store employee promoting some newly arrived items. Dear customers, in the leather goods department, 500 imported women purses have been received. 450 of them have been bought by store employees. 49 are under the counter and have been ordered in advance for friends. One purse is in display window. We invite you to visit the leather department to buy this purse.